Hey guys, welcome to another video. As usual, please like and subscribe if you like the content. Feel free to check out any of my other reviews, whether it's the rest of the Andor series, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and just various Star Wars related videos. And let's get into this Andor, episode 11. So as I said at the end of episode 10, it actually finished off quite nicely. They did a good setup in 9 and then a good episode in 10, an exciting episode. And I was concerned, now up to that point, of course, that the previous 7 episodes should have been shaved down to like 3. But as I said before, what are they going to do now? Because they did leave us in a good spot after the prison break and everything else. This episode starts off with Andor and his buddy there hanging off of a cliff, hiding from the Empire on the planet, that they swam and they got to the shore and then they were running around. And they're hiding from the Empire, which is as a ship going all over the place looking for prisoners. But what's funny is like they're hanging off the side of a cliff with like an ocean underneath them. And all it would have taken for this Imperial shuttle to have seen them is just to turn around the other way. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. You're in a ship looking down, but they happened to just stay over the landmass and didn't actually just turn around that way to see them. So I thought it was kind of a chintzy hiding spot. It would have been probably better for them to be hiding like in a cave or something like that. It's a very rocky area. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then it's like, how did they get there? Because at the end of episode 10, they were running on land. So why would you be hanging off of a cliff 200 feet in the air over the ocean again? Like, that would make sense if that's the initial way to get up onto land from the prison. But we already saw them, the night of the break running. So again, it's really strange. And it would, if they chose to go there to hide, it's a really dumb spot because again, all that ship would have to do is just turn around and see you hanging off a cliff. You're done now. Whereas if you hide in a cave or something, so that was kind of weird. Not very well thought out. Then, Andor's mom dies and then Andor goes back to him and Buddy and they try to steal a ship from these 2 aliens. And they go running towards the ship, and then there's sensors, and these sensors sense that they're getting near these guys' ship, shoots this weird rubbery-looking netting at them, and, they get caught in nets. And the aliens in this scene are cool. I like the aliens in this scene. This is the first time we've really seen very interesting aliens in really much of the Star Wars live action is very devoid of aliens. This was actually kind of cool. They start debating amongst each other whether they should eat Andor, and then it goes to a scene with resting bitch face, and she's over a signal telling the Imperials on Ferrix to allow the funeral for Andor's mom. Typically, it's not something that they do, but she's saying no, let them do it. It'll bring them all in the same place, and then of course, Andor maybe will show up because they don't know where he is, right? They know he can't show up, and then they go back to the 2 aliens, and Andor and his buddy convince them not to eat them, and then they give them a ride to the planet, the vacation planet. I don't remember what it's called, Namos or something like that. And then we go back to Mothma's cousin, who was also part of the dam raid, and she shows up at Luthen's art store, and he isn't there. And then we just get this pointless, drawn-out scene of her and Luthen's assistant just being catty towards each other for absolutely no reason whatsoever. It was just, it's the problem with this show. They have long sections of dialogue that are completely unnecessary. She should have just shown up, was told he wasn't there, and when is he coming back, or when can I speak with him? We didn't need this whole catty back and forth. I'm doing my job, you're doing your, like, it's just pointless. And then we get back to the girl back on Ferrix who was being tortured by Resting Bitch Face's scientists to get information, and they're still torturing her about who she met and blah, 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 blah. Not a lot of interest there because the main people, they already know everything that they could get. So it's just, they question her about some guy that we don't even really know in the show. It's just kind of pointless. And then we get another boring Mon Mothma scene where she tells the entire story of what she went through with her money situation to her cousin. The story we literally watched play out and have already seen 25 scenes of dialogue on. And she does this whole big long dialogue about what we already knew. It's expository dialogue is very important when the audience doesn't know what had already happened. when we already know, if all you want to tell us is that she's telling her cousin what's happened now with this banker guy and her daughter and everything that's happened, you say you have them sit down, and then she says, "I'm going to tell you what's gone on," and then cut to the next scene. Then we know that she's telling her cousin what's going on off camera, but we don't need to sit there and listen to it again. We've seen this. And seeing her teary-eyed doesn't make it any more interesting. And this is the problem with this show. And and they do it on purpose. They're not stupid. They're doing it on purpose because they're dragging it out into 12 episodes instead of just making it the 6 episodes that it should have been from the beginning. The only thing we get out of this scene after she goes through this long, big, drawn-out thing is that she is going to allow her daughter to meet with this guy's son, because he knows about what she's done with her 400,000 missing credits, and he can basically blackmail her. But we kind of already got that vibe anyway, but that we did get this little nugget after 10 minutes of uselessness. So she's upset because now her daughter's going to be courted by this guy and potentially be in this, like, arranged marriage situation someday or whatever. Even though they're 14, it's a little weird, but whatever. Trying to be Game of Thrones. Like I said from the beginning, it's what Game of Thrones does. It's all about, like, pedophilia and incest and weird stuff and people too young doing stuff. So I guess bringing it into Star Wars is super in now. Then we go back to Crunchberry guy, and he gets a video message from some guy, one of the old security guys he was working with before or whatever, saying that Andor's mom has died and Andor could show up at the funeral. Yeah, we already know that. We already know. Resting bitch face scene. This was totally pointless. And then Crunchberry guy gets super emotional about hearing this. Like, it's like, I don't get why he's so weird with stuff. Like, so intense about his job with the Empire. And so we don't get enough backstory about why he cares so much about the Empire and doing stuff for the Empire, I guess, is my problem. He's just a security guy at the beginning. He gets fired because he screws up. But his, like, entire story is based on a backstory about him that we don't know. Like, why is he so intense? But anyway, it is what it is. So then we get back to Andor, and he sneaks into his hotel room that he was on vacation. Remember, a few episodes ago, he was hungover with some chick. Because that's, very Star Wars. It's, again, just stupid drama show level crap. But anyways, he left his box in there that had, when he got arrested on the planet, so his box with all his money and weapons and little guns and whatever passports he had that had different names were still hidden up on top of the bathroom. I think it's the shower thing. Anyway, so he sneaks in there, gets his box, sneaks out when some alien's sleeping in the bed. Then Luthen goes to see Saw Gerrera, or whatever his name is, again. And Saw says that he does want to do the power station job, but Luthen says no, because the Empire is onto them, which he found out from Buddy in the elevator scene, his Empire mole. And then Saw gets angry that he's willing to let the other guys, the 30 other men that were going to be part of the job, get killed. He's not going to tell them. And Luthen says he can't tell them because if he tells them and they don't show up, then the Empire's going to know that there's a mole, and 6 years of having this mole is going to be out the window. And then Gerrera gets mad at him, and he says, well, you can call me a killer or whatever, but I would have, I told you, I didn't have to. I could have let you go die too, so it's not that I'm like that. This has to happen. And this goes back to his previous monologue about how he has to make these sacrifices for the cause, and he's not happy about it. Cool. Interesting. Luthen is a very interesting character. Good scene. I like that. Certain things are coming together now, which is good. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff we didn't need to see in this episode too, but whatever. And then Luthen leaves, and he's approached by an Empire patrol ship or whatever, inspectors that, go around and check if people are pirates and stuff. And they ask him for a code to verify his ship, and of course he sends them one, and it goes through. And then the main guy running the ship is like, or captain, whatever he is, he's like, you know what, even though the code checks out, let's search him anyway. The guys need practice, so whatever. So they put him in the tractor beam, and he's got a pretty sick ship, and he shoots some sort of stuff out the back, these metal things that tear up the tractor beam dish. And so then there's a fight, and he sends out a few TIE fighters, and Luthen's ship has got it all in terms of weaponry. It's really cool, actually. Except then there's the giant lightsabers that shoot out of the side. First of all, where do they end? They don't show that. So it's like, do these things just go on forever? Where's the end of them? It's just... I think they purposely didn't put the end of them because then it would look even more just like stupid lightsabers sticking out of the ship. Which, it was a little much. It was a little dumb. From a war perspective, it's kind of cool, but if you think about it, it screws up the timeline. Because if this tech exists pre A New Hope, why wouldn't the Empire have that? Why wouldn't you have these two giant laser beams that go to the side, so anything that you fly beside gets cut in half? Why wouldn't this be in the sequel trilogy? Why wouldn't this be any time after this? Why is this the only guy ever that has this? So it screws up the timeline. They don't think about that when they make these decisions. And again, it certainly would have been tech that would have been used years later in the OT or after. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, he ends up getting away, and like I said, he destroys the tractor beam on the ship and then a few TIE fighters. And then the episode ends with... and also, too, the scene was very brief, a very quick action scene. So out of 11 episodes, we've gotten the dam scene, the prison scene, and that, in terms of action. I don't think I'm missing anything. So 3, and if I am missing something, maybe 4 scenes. I guess there was one earlier. Well, Andor and the 2 guys at the very beginning wasn't really an action scene. But there's been like 4, maybe 5 tops action scenes in literally like 9 hours. So it'd be like watching The Lord of the Rings and having like 4 or 5 action scenes, like in terms of time, right? It's like, and again, I get dialogue driven, but like, come on, man, like that's pretty terrible. And then at the very end, Andor sends a message home from the vacation planet, and he finds out his mom's dead. And then he's all sad, and then him and the other guy decide to split up because they have a better chance of informing everybody what's going on at these prisons or whatever. And then that's the end of the episode, and you're like, okay, so prediction, he is going to show up at his mom's wedding, and there's going to be a big dust-up, and they're going to finally have a big action scene, and then something's going to happen. Or he won't, and it'll just be a bunch of talking, and that'll be all. Anyway, this episode was okay. There's just, again, they draw it out so long, and there's issues, like that ship is a problem. The Crunchberry guy didn't need to even be in the episode at all. You know, we didn't need the woman still getting tortured. Like, there's just a lot of stuff we didn't need. I like the aliens. I like their ship, how it's beat up and stuff. It's cool. But again, you know, they ended 10 off in a really high note. And then, and the cliff thing made no sense at the beginning. What are they doing hanging off of a cliff after how 10 ended? It doesn't make sense. So the whole thing is convoluted again. We're back to the convoluted, nonsensical stuff. A couple things that I liked, but overall, it wasn't a very good episode. And I guess we'll find out how this ends, which, again, I think it's going to be Andor going to the funeral and then a big fight. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day.